Right, hi guys, Benny Biker here. Oh, just out on a Saturday afternoon, so I'll give my bike a little run. I've not used it since Monday, so I was feeling a bit feeling with the withdrawal symptoms. Oh, so nice to get back on the bike. I've been driving the car all week. Went to Matlock on Monday with Wife and Bikers chip shop run. That was really good. Had some awesome chips when we got there. So yeah, it's good to meet everyone. And it's good to meet Phil. Phil 480 came up from down south, so it's good to meet Phil. So yeah, that was good. But so that's the last time I actually managed to get out on my bike. So the weather's been shit all week, and it absolutely pissed it down this morning. I thought I ain't gonna get out. I ain't gonna even be able to get out today. But it's kind of dried up a bit, so I thought, you know what, it's fucking get out on it. So anyway guys, what I wanted to talk about today is, I've had this bike for, I don't know, just over a month now I think, and I thought I'd give a little review on it, you know, what my thoughts are on it so far. So obviously it's a 1999 Suzuki Bandit, so it's not a new bike, by any means. You know, it's a sort of 16-year-old. And to be honest, I didn't really want initially I didn't really want a bike of that age. You know, I wanted something newer. But everyone had said to me, you know, these are, you know, they're good bikes, they're good first bikes. And to be honest with you, for what you can pick them up for, they are an absolute bargain. They really are. So I was quite lucky with this one. You know, it only done 10,000 miles, and it's been really, really well looked after and cared for. So, you know, I did look at some, and they were absolute nails. You know, because a lot of people use them for commuters, winter hacks. So there are a lot out there that are, you know, but you know, they're still good bikes. And if that's what you want one for, you know, they're ideal for that kind of thing. So obviously, I mean, I was looking for a first sort of bigger bike, and I looked at lots and lots of bikes, and I like the naked bikes, and I did my lessons on an ER6, and I quite fancied one of those. But they're nice bikes, but they're a little bit more than what I wanted to spend on the first bike, and they're not really. If I'm going to spend that sort of money on a bike, I want something, you know, that's going to be pretty outstanding. And I don't think an ER6 is. They're a good bike, but they're not really an outstanding sort of. You know, I think after a year or so I'd be bored of it. So that's what kind of put me off spending all that money on one. So in the end, I suppose I thought I'd pick up an older bike. You know, see how I get on. And then just go from there, you know, perhaps give it a year and then see what I like from there. My first impressions of this bike are, it's a really well put together, solid little bike, and it's got plenty of power in it. For a 600, to me it actually feels quicker than the ER6 that I learnt on, which are actually 650s. It seems to have a bit more go in it. I don't know if the R6 is technically quicker or not, but to me this feels a bit quicker. And to be honest as well, initially I thought going from an ER6 which obviously was a modern bike with ABS and fuel injection, I thought going to an old bike it's going to be completely different. But I've got to admit, for a 16-year-old bike, it doesn't feel far off that at all. It feels very, it's got quite a modern feel to it, you know. And I was quite surprised how quickly, you know, I adapted to it. And yeah, I mean, it hasn't got ABS, but to be honest with you, the brakes on this are really good. It's got a twin disc at the front, one disc on the back, and yeah, they're pin sharp really, you know. It's quite a heavy bike, But no, I think the brakes are absolutely fine for it. Obviously the looks of the bike is looking a little bit dated now, but it has got the classic kind of look to it. You know, it's got the classic lines, which doesn't really go out of fashion, does it? So overall, you know, I think they look good, you know. And if it's a naked bike you want, then I think they're a good bike to go for. From what I've read of other reviews, engines are pretty bulletproof. They say this one had done 10,000 miles, which apparently for a Bandit it's not even worn in. So I mean, these are good for silly miles, you know. I looked at some that had, you know, 70,000-80,000 miles on them. So don't necessarily be put off by the mileage if you see one with high miles, as long as it's been looked after. You know, they're all right. But yeah, it's got plenty of go in it. And so for a first bike, I think it's pretty ideal, really. And say I kind of summed it up between one of these and a Honda Hornet. I'd kind of whittled it down to one of those two. Oh, it's gonna fucking piss it down now, isn't it? Typical. So yeah, I mean, the reason I bought this was basically this came up before a Hornet. If a Hornet had came up, then I probably would have bought a Hornet. But the advantages I found of this over a Hornet is the parts are a lot cheaper. Hornet parts are quite expensive. Bandits, you know, 10 a penny. You can get bits easily for them. I would say the Hornet is probably a better bike. You know, it's water cooled, it's a bit better refined. But by the by, you know, there's not a lot in it between them, really. You know, very similar looking bikes. So yeah, I mean, the only problems with this bike, personally, I say I've only had it a month, so I haven't had any problems with it. Problems I've had riding with it is, well, it's a naked bike, and I took it on the motorway, and it's, yeah, you get blown a lot. You get blown all over the place. But because obviously there's no fairings to protect you. But that's not really a fault of the bike. That's just I'm going to turn around. This is horrible. I've ridden this in the rain. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a naked bike, so obviously you are going to get on things like motorways. You're not going to be protected with fairings and things, so you will feel the wind and stuff a lot more. But to be honest with you, I don't do a lot of motorways anyway, so it doesn't really bother me too much. I'd sooner not ride on a motorway if I can help it. I mean, the advantage of naked bikes as well, obviously, is they're a lot easier to work on. So if it is your first bike, you know, if you want to do simple maintenance, you haven't got to spend hours stripping the fairings off before you can do anything. So that is one advantage of a naked bike. But yeah, I mean, all in all, you know, I think as a first bike, they are very good. And so for what you could pick them up for, you know, you can get a lot of bike for your money, really. Handling, yeah, it seems to go quite well. Obviously you're in a more upright position than a sports bike, so don't expect to be laying flat on corners so much. And you can get your knee down on these if you really wanted to, but it is very comfortable. I'd say I've done over 100 miles on it in one go, and it's been absolutely fine. You know, I've got off no aches or pains, nothing. So in that respect, you know, it's a nice comfy bike, nicely padded seat. I don't think you can ride them on a A2 licence, and whether you can get it restricted or not, I don't know. But I think the factory BHP is around about 80, so I think it has to be, was it 40 for A2? So you literally got to strangle half the power out of it, I suppose. I'm not sure if you can ride it on an A2 or not. Possibly can. I love your indicators. See, he doesn't even have indicators, and he's using his arm. You don't see that on BMW drivers, do you? So yeah, there's lots of custom parts available for them. I mean, if you just Google images Bandit, I don't think you'll find two that look the same, to be honest with you. There is so many parts available for them. It's pretty endless, the modifications you can do to them. I'm still trying to work out what I want to do to this. The other thing I've noticed is the fuel economy is not great on this, but going from a 125, you know, you're probably going to expect that on any bike. I roughly get, to a tenner's worth of fuel, I roughly get 100 miles. So if you look at it, it's about £1 for every 10 miles that you go. And it doesn't have a fuel gauge, which is, when I first got the bike, it was quite annoying. But obviously now I know what sort of mileage I'm getting out of it. It doesn't, as long as I remember to reset the trip, then I'm alright. But if you forget to reset the trip, you're pretty knackered. So yeah, that's another bad point about these bikes, is there's not even a fuel warning light. So if you were to run low, it wouldn't even tell you. But it does have a reserve tap. So as long as you don't leave it in the reserve position, then if you do run out, then you've got that reserve to get you to a petrol station. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I can't really think of any other bad points with these bikes. I mean, obviously it's all down to personal choice at the end of the day. I mean, some people don't like the look of the naked bikes, some people prefer them. It's all down to personal choice. The one thing I do want to change on this bike though is I want to change the exhaust, because it's got the factory exhaust on it, which is very quiet, very quiet. So yeah, I want to change that. So if anyone's got any recommendations what to put on it. A few people have said the Beowulf, is it? Beowulf? I don't know, some weird name like that. I mean, it sounds alright if you wind it right up, but you know, it hasn't got that sort of, I want that throaty sort of deep sound, which it hasn't really got. But again, you know, the parts are not mega expensive for these, and so if you put in exhaust on eBay, you'll be literally showered with choice. So, but yeah, I'm glad I bought it, and I think I made the right choice for the amount of money I wanted to spend. I don't think I really could have got a better bike, to be honest. Obviously there's a few things to look out for when you're looking for one of these, but generally they're pretty bulletproof bikes. I mean, the engine is basically a GSXR slightly detuned engine, and it is quite a nimble little bike actually. I mean, I originally thought when I first looked at a Bandit, and I tell you what it was. When I used to ride my 125, I met with Lewis from Twist and Turns, and I had a little sit on his Bandit, and God, it felt so heavy. But it's amazing how quickly you get used to the weight, you know. And it doesn't feel heavy at all now. It really doesn't. You know, it feels quite. You can throw it around quite easily around corners. Anyway, guys, yeah. So I just thought I'd give you a little quick overview of what I thought of my Bandit so far. You know, so far so good. So take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.